For years now, when you look at everything bundled up into one, the Walt Disney Company lost billions of dollars, whether it was through their movies that flopped at the box office or their television programs that went through multiple ratings disasters, and merchandise related to those many projects by the Disney Company, all because of Bob Iger's failure and his incompetence and him obviously doubling down on the typical Disney message and the typical Disney agenda with DEI. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we know that in recent months, we've seen multiple box office failures, right? We looked at Snow White, Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, First Steps, and some of those you may have actually enjoyed and thought that they were okay movies, okay popcorn flicks. But unfortunately, in Disney's case, they just didn't make as much money as they once hoped for, and it really is backfiring on them as extremely in 2025. Now, one thing is for certain is that when you're looking all the way back since 2016, 2017, when Disney really tripled down on all their nonsense, they have indeed lost billions of dollars altogether in one. And one thing about Bob Iger right now is that ever since Fantastic Four didn't work in their favor, financially speaking, he's really been getting more political in recent weeks and blaming MAGA, Trump supporters, the entire administration, the White House. It's really ridiculous, and he continues to do so. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, one thing about Bob Iger is that we all know that people essentially view him as the worst CEO of Disney to date, right? Nobody really actually takes the list on top of him as the worst CEO at Disney at this point. However, with Disney CEO Bob Iger still actively engaged in damage control for the Walt Disney Company, one major development going on now involves Bob Iger snapping back at the public in the midst of Disney dealing with multiple box office failures for 2025 and also since 2016. Bob Iger recently delivered the following and turned everything into a political argument. As CEO, it is in my best interest to address the culprit as to why our customers are seemingly very divided over the properties that we pursue and the projects that we release. One thing I would like to add is that this administration is at fault for all of this. Looking back at our brands like Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, and more, we have noticed after thorough research that there is an obvious politically driven boycott against the Disney Company under the false impression that we engage in any form of a culture war or have over the years since Mr. Trump was elected in 2016. In any business, you are going to have your hits and misses. However, unfortunately, many of our missed opportunities were driven politically and were driven by politically motivated customers that only made things difficult for the creatives behind very powerful projects that could have been so much more. Projects like The Acolyte, The Marvels, Ironheart, just to name a few in the past year and a half. But we have dealt with similar examples in the past several years due to politics. As, of course, the face of the Disney Company and these many brands, it is my goal in mind to create valuable entertainment for all the brands mentioned before. We have faced numerous difficulties over the years with our IPs due to those that follow this administration. Supporters that create false narratives about the Disney Company is something that we do not stand for and do not respect. Our support for diversity, equity, and inclusion will remain for all the brands we aim to expand, and we are asking everyone to not let politics influence your decision on supporting a specific project connected to the Walt Disney Company. We here aim to actually entertain, not to lecture, and not to preach with political propaganda, as some have been led to believe, that cost us many missed opportunities over the years for both film and television, both from my financial and creative perspective, and it's something I am willing to avoid at all costs. Now guys, let me just say one thing about Bob Iger is that we know that basically, I think at this point, this is all beginning to actually become clear that he's really just getting very much out of control because he knows his time is short at the Disney Company. After all, his plan is to step down next year at some point in 2026. And he's trying to build a legacy for himself, right? He's trying to create some kind of purpose as Disney CEO to leave on a good note. And if you want to say one thing about Bob Iger right now, this is probably the best way to actually exit on a bad note, because now you're actually mixing politics, literally, bringing politics into your entertainment, whether it's, like I said before, like brands like Star Wars, Marvel, over the years that have failed tremendously since definitely 2016. We all know that things got very political with Disney once Trump came into office and once he was elected, and that really created a lot of ups within the company, whether it was through the board of directors, whether it was in the corporate ladder in general. They're obsessed with LGBTQ, they're obsessed with DEI and all of this nonsense, all these different agendas that don't need to be the quote-unquote priority over an actual entertaining story. And that's the problem when it comes to Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, the Disney live-action department. That's their priority, all these different messages, right? Now, he goes on to conclude, if you believe our efforts to support DEI is any form of a culture war, this is nothing more than political propaganda that we must continue to address, because that is not what the Disney company is about, and never was and never will be. For our many brands like Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, etc., our goal is to welcome diversity, equity, and inclusion with open arms to embrace a wider scope for who we cast in the major films and television that we hope to become successful in the years to come. My goal is to unite everyone for our customers to be entertained, whether it's in the theater or at many theme parks or at home through streaming. It's our main priority here. So again, we know that Disney Plus is essentially dead at this point in 2025. We know that Tony Gilroy of Star Wars, the guy that created Andor Season 1 and 2, openly admitted that Disney's having a very rough battle with streaming because they just don't have the funds available anymore as they once did years ago when they were starting things up with Disney Plus. And now things are really narrowing out when it comes to Disney Plus. They really just don't have the money anymore, or they don't have the ability to waste as much money on these expensive projects. Look at how much money they invested into the Acolyte series, for example. Insane. I mean, the fact that they invested that much into a show that obviously was disconnected from the fans, and they knew what they were doing. They damn well knew exactly what they were doing at the time in 2023 when they were putting that all together before its 2024 release. That's just one little example there. Another one is The Marvels. That's actually a movie that actually was released, and it was a box office disaster for the MCU. Now, we already know that the domino effect right now is leading to a lot of people having Disney fatigue. People are not necessarily going through superhero fatigue, I feel, but it's more so Disney fatigue. It's how they handle the superhero genre through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? I think at the end of the day, they're overdoing it. They definitely did oversaturate the MCU. If they took it down a notch, if they slowed it down a little bit, maybe one movie a year, minimum, maybe 2 max, if that, I think that things would have turned out better and things could have been done differently. But when you're having, of course, 3 Marvel movies a year, give or take, plus TV shows, it's too much. People got very tired of it all, especially when you're focusing on a lot of messaging. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all of this below in the comments, everything related to Bob Iger taking shots at Trump supporters, MAGA, in light of losing billions of dollars since 2016. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.